Let's take this a bit further, because it's obvious to me at a cursory glance that both sides have come up with similar calculations. But what I'm interested in is actually seeing the basis of the detail, because this is potentially my real money that I'm going to consider investing in Fresnillo or any other stock that you're analysing. So whilst I'm happy to accept that the research by Perplexity or any other system come to that is going to give me information much quicker than I can calculate it manually, I still want to see how it's done so that I can check. So I've asked the same question both sides, as you can see. I've said, please show the detailed calculations for your projections that show the large increases for gross profit and operating profit. Can you please also give an estimate of the EPS figures for 2024 and projected for 2025? I think these are useful pieces of information as a DIY investor I'd like to have. And what's actually happened is that on the left-hand side, Perplexity in its normal mode, this is Pro version, of course, has gone away and done some calculations, and it's worked out the earnings per share. And it's come back with figures for $1.86 for 2024 and $2.28 for 2025. And when I've asked the same question of Perplexity using DeepSeek, it's given me the calculation as it's done it, as you can see. And further down, it comes up with EPS for 2024 of $0.64, quite a bit different from $1.86. And then it's come up with a 2025 projection in a range of 0.66 to 0.70. And then it's got key assumptions and risks and so on. To have the same figures from profit and get different EPS figures, there's clearly a difference, and there can only be two factors. One is the profit figure used or the number of shares. So I've asked what number of shares have you used in the computations, and on the normal Perplexity, it says it's used 736.89, as it does on the right-hand side. So I've put on the left-hand side that they haven't used the actual number. Why not? Because if you go back to the calculations, it's assumed 500 million. And I'm trying to see where that was. Here we go. Assuming there are around 500 million shares outstanding. That's not a very clever reasoning on account of Perplexity, because it's an existing company. The information is out there as to the number of shares. And on the right-hand side, the DeepSeek version of Perplexity's quite rightly used the right figure. On the left-hand side, I've actually said to Perplexity, in your EPS estimates, you haven't used the actual number of shares. Why? And then it says, I apologize for the oversight in my previous response. You're correct to point out I did not use the actual number of shares. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. It then works the calculations and gives me some different figures. So for 2024, you can see here it's giving a range of $1.26 to $1.29, rising to $1.35 for 2025. So then that brings in the second part of the equation, which is what profit figure have they used? The obvious one being, is it pre-tax profit or post-tax profit? Because earnings per share are calculated on net profit, i.e. post-tax profit. And it says the profit used is pre-tax profits, and then it goes on to say what those figures are in the calculation. So I've then asked, what would the post-tax EPS figures be? And it then calculates the figures and comes up with, as you can see here, final results. EPS for 2024, $0.63 to $0.64. And DeepSeek correctly, first time round, had 0.64. And for 25, it gave me the figure, EPS range 2025, 0.66 to 0.7. So 0.68 would be the middle. 0.68 is the figure given to me after some interrogation and correction on my part of Perplexity. So the bottom line result from my perspective as an investor is that the DeepSeek version of Perplexity has given me an accurate answer without me needing to check and correct it, whereas the unwary person could take the normal Perplexity figure, and if they just read the result and didn't look at the assumptions of calculation, could be completely misled. So quite an interesting experiment this, and hope you've enjoyed following the process through. Thanks for watching.